condemned his heart, and he pressed into his heart. What more would you want? What more would a devotee want than to be hugged, than to be embraced by our beloved Shri Ram? That is the pinnacle of devotion. That is the climax. There is no point beyond that. It's the highest of all points, the zenith. He embraces Hanuman, and you can imagine where both hearts meet. Think of that situation. When I think of it, tears come to my eye when I think of that situation. I can visualize that. That if you can get that scene in your mind. But he embraces Shri Hanuman. And then, Kara gahi param nikata vaithava. Then he took Hanuman by the hand and he put him to sit by his side. Whom do you put to sit by your side? You take your daughter, your son, someone very close to you, and put them sit by your side and you begin to talk. You don't have to sit by the chair there. You bring them and put them near you. Or you put them on your lap and you begin to talk. Why? Because of that close connection. And this is how Shri Ram saw Hanuman. Hanuman, you are very special. Come and sit beside me. He took him by the hand and put them side by side. And he begins to address Hanuman. What does he tell Hanuman? Tusiya says. He puts Hanuman by his side. Listen what he's asking Hanuman. Kaha kapira manapalati lanka kahi vidhi dehu durga atibanka. He said, Ravan's fort is most impregnable. You cannot, it's a fortress that you cannot get through. Nobody was able to get through that fortress of Ravan. He says, tell me Hanuman, how did you get through that impregnable fortress of Lanka? What strategy did you utilize to be able to penetrate that impregnable fort, Lanka? How did you do it? He says, Kehi biti dahi durga ati banka. That is most impregnable fortress. It is difficult. How did you do it, Hanuman? Hanuman, he found that the Lord was sort of favoring him. You know, he knows the might of Hanuman. And Hanuman recognizes. He said, he sees that the Lord is being so nice to him. This is what he says. Prabhu prasann jana Hanumana. Bola vachan vigat abhimana. When Hanuman found that the Lord was so gracious to him, he replied in words. How? What kind of words? Vigat abhimana. You know his abhiman? Pride. If you ask me, if he had asked me as well, Lord, you know, I was so powerful, I did this and I did that, I would start to boast. Bigat means free from. So bigat abhimana, without abhiman. In other words, with great humility at his disposal, he begins to narrate to Shree Ram. With great humility. This is what he says. He says, Prabhu prasanna jana Hanumana, bola bachan vigat abhimana. He says, my Lord, with great and singular modesty, he is narrating. This is what he says to Shree Ram. I have just too much of this and a one line of and I do have to bring my lesson to an end this evening. This is what he says in this Shri Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama, Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama, Shri Rama, Rama, Jaya Sakha mrigate vari mankai, sakha te sakha parijai. He's saying, how did you enter that impregnable force and how were you able to burn down Sri Lanka? What did you do? So he says, my Lord, the very nature of a monkey, when he was in that group, the monkey group, he says the very nature of a monkey is to jump from branch to branch. So he had no difficulty in spreading fire from one building to the next. As this one caught fire, he just jumped. His agility is so profound that he just went and set fire to all of them. He said, that's all he said. He said a monkey nature. He came not taking credit. He says monkey nature for that. Just jump from building to building. And listen what he said now. I want you to take from this with you, my dear friends. I want you to take from this with you. This is a count, I listen. He says, Naji Sindhuha Taka Purajara Nishichara Gana Vidhi Vipin Ujara. whatever we do in life is because of the grace of our beloved Lord. Always remember that. If I have knowledge, it's because of His grace. It's not my knowledge. The Lord gave me that privilege. He bestowed that gift upon me. And I should be ever grateful to Him for that. But that knowledge only becomes workable or meaningful when you would have dispensed that knowledge to the ignorant people. Now Christ says, would you light a candle and put it under a bushel? If I would take a cover and cover this light, would that serve any purpose? He said, but if you were to take it and put it on a candlestick, then it would shed the light, its luster all around. So too, if you were to have knowledge, and you didn't give out that, of what use was that knowledge to you? Tell me. But if you have given out that knowledge, and to remove ignorance from the masses, then everyone in turn will be brightened by that knowledge. They will begin to do things differently. They begin to see things different because of the knowledge. They begin to praise you. They begin to pray for you. That's why good students always pray for their teachers, because they know what life-changing has taken place because of their teachers. So he says, my Lord, the fact that I was able to leap across the ocean, the fact that I was able to leap across the ocean, the fact that I was able to burn the golden city of Lanka, and my Lord, the fact that I was able to slay all those demons, and my Lord, the fact that I was able to lay waste this Ashok Grove, the Ashoka, he said, he ends it up in this last one line of five. This is what he said. Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, So sabatava pratapa ragurai natana katu moda pratai. I want to repeat back that. It says, my Lord, the fact that I was able to leap across the ocean, the fact that I was able to burn the golden city of Lanka, the fact that I was able to slay the demon host, and the fact that I was able to release the Ashok, he says, so sabatava pratapa ragurai. It was all because of your might, Lord. It was all because of your might, Lord. Natana kachu mora pratai. It was not of my own will. It was your power working through me that I was able to do that. And my dear friends, this is what happens. No matter what status you enjoy, it is because of the Lord working through you. And always recognize that. There is no point in imposing your little status upon the unfortunate person. The difference between you and him is that you are a little more fortunate. But given the same circumstances, he might have been far better off than you. So when you are privileged, recognize that it is the Lord who gave you that. And use it for the welfare and betterment of all mankind. When you would have done that, that gift would have been meaningful. It is then such gift is meaningful. Other than that, you have wasted the gift. It's like a father gives a son $10,000 and he goes to the inn and he smokes out that and drinks it out. Did that serve him any purpose? But if he had gone to the home, help the beggars, and what have you, help the unfortunate, even uplift him himself. It was a truly certain. So when you are given a gift, make magnificent, make proper use of it, the most use of it. And I bring a lesson to this evening with this Doha, this blessings. But before I end, I have two verses to bring to you, this end my lesson for tonight. So in this Doha, those blessings. And when Hanuman started this lesson, he says, my Lord, that person who does not serve thee would always be unfortunate. Listen what it says in this Doha, the crown of this lesson. He says, nothing, my Lord, is unattainable to that person who enjoys your favor. And one is now saying, my Lord, that person who enjoys your favor, nothing in the world is difficult for him for attainment. He's able to attain everything because of your gift and your grace. And he says, he says, by your might, Lord, a mere shred of cotton will burn a submarine fire. Now, you know what a submarine is? That vessel that goes on. But here it doesn't mean that. Submarine means under the sea. Sub means under. Marine comes from a Latin word maris meaning sea. So under the sea, that a shred of cotton could be lit there and make a big conflagration. That is the power of Shree Ram. By his might, the impossible becomes possible. You not think of lighting a fire under the sea. That becomes possible because of Shree Ram. So Hanuman has his full faith and confidence in the divine Lord. And he quite categorically explains that to Shree Ram, and Shree Ram shows his gratefulness to Hanuman for his services. I want to bring to you two verses, one from Bhaja Govindam and one from Saint Chaitanya. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Govindam. Shankaracharya in Bhaja Govindam gave out this verse. Nalini dal gat jal matitaralam tet vajivitam atishay chapalam vididadhya vimana grastam lokam sukatam cha samastam. He says, Nalini dal, that this water playing on the lotus leaf. You know, the lotus leaf is sort of smooth and oily. So when a drop of water falls on that, it doesn't spread. It forms a little ball-like. Like with the dashi leaf, when you look at it, the water falls there. So that water can roll off any time. He says life is so uncertain, like that drop of water. Any time that water could roll off. In a similar fashion, life in this body is very uncertain. We do not know when we will depart from this body. That is one thing that God didn't give us. This is a perfect body. But there is one thing. We do not know when this life will leave. What he is saying, inasmuch as you know that, and knowing that the world is so suffused with problems and difficulties, and heartaches, and headaches, and body ache, and everything, he says, why don't we turn to the divine and recognize that he is the only comfort that we can enjoy? Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. He says, understand this, that we are all, maligned by this disease and so on. We should change this outlook on life and serve the divine. Because at any time, this could go. We cannot guarantee that we'll be here tomorrow or the next month or what have you. And the next one I want to bring to you is a verse written by Saint Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A very beautiful verse on humility. This is Hanuman was. And listen what he says in this verse. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Sharanam Trinadapi Sunicena, Tarodapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari. He says, Trinadapi Sunice, thin means grass. He says, he who is humble than a blade of grass. Everybody travels on the grass, isn't that so? And next morning when you get up, what happened? You see the grass up again. Even though you walk and fell it flat, next morning it gets up. Be as resilient as that grass. In all humility, be like that grass. But do not give up. Raise up your head at the end of it all. Trinadapi Sunicena, he who is humble than blade of grass, and Tarodapi Sahishnuna, and yet more enduring than a tree. And yet more enduring than the tree is so big, but this grass seems to have overpowered the power of that tree. Because in spite of being sunk in the mud, it pushes up its head again. in spite of everything. He says, Amanina manadena. He says, he who gives respect to those who lack it. He who gives respect to those who lack. The saints and sages, they give respect to all. And they seek none for themselves. But they give respect to all. Can we do that? We are ready to curse and tell everybody everything. And Kirtanya Sadahari, he says, such a person will continuously immerse in singing the praises of the Lord at all times. He says, such is the characteristic of a great and noble man, whose spiritual majesty endows them with utter humility and powerful endurance. That was Sri Hanuman. When Sri Hanuman was crossing the ocean to go to Lanka, Mount Mainak was instructed to elevate itself above the water and allow a resting place for Hanuman. You know what Hanuman did? He touched the mountain and recognized Mount Mainak. He says, I thank you for affording me this opportunity, but I cannot rest until the work of my Lord is finished. So what lay predominant in the mind of Hanuman? The mission of Prabhu Sri Ram. When my Lord's work is done, then I shall take all the rest that is needed. Could we be that kind of devotee, my friends? That is the nobility of Sri Hanuman. Let me bring my contribution and then end this evening by this very beautiful question. Lord Sri Ram, Lord Rama once asked Sri Hanuman, he says, Hanuman, how are you related to me? How are you related to me? Listen to Hanuman's reply. He says, my Lord, from the standpoint of the body, he says, I am your slave and you are my master. My Lord, from the standpoint of the jiva, I am the ray and you are the sun. And my Lord, from the spiritual standpoint, he says, I am your very self. You and I are one, from the spiritual standpoint. But to reach that state, one has to go above everything and then to merge with him. We have the capability to do that, like Hanuman did. When Hanuman got that warmth of embrace, that was where he had reached. That point. So he says, in this answer lies the profound understanding of the philosophy of Vedanta embodied in Ramayana. It says, that is, every individual must seek union with God in three phases or three planes: in body, in mind, and in spirit. In your body, you must be a servant of God, a channel of His divine will. In your mind, you must be a ray of God. And in the divine power, you must radiate through your thoughts and feelings that kind of energy. In your spirit, in the depths of your heart, you must discover your identity with God. That is the spiritual ideal of perfection embodied by Hanuman in the majestic role he plays in Shri Ramcharitmanas. My dear friends, I am deeply honored and grateful to be in your distinguished presence this evening and to bring this lesson on behalf of my departed brother. I am extremely happy to be of service to him because he has rendered human service to me in causing me to understand and to unravel some of the teachings of Shri Ramcharitmanas. If you would ask to think, almost every evening I was here sitting in the gallery, even when his mother was alive. And we would sit there and we'd talk Ramayana from beginning to end. And there are many questions that I didn't understand. And by the time we are finished, I had a very clear and distinct understanding of these lines and so on. And he was able to bring that to me. And that money can't buy that. I cannot pay him for that. All I can offer is my deep felt praise and prayers for him. And all of us have come here collectively this evening to honor him in this way for what he has done. To offer praise at the lotus feet of the Lord, asking him to take charge of that soul wherever it may be. So to complete this evening's, my contribution this evening, I want to do this bandana on behalf of our dear brother. We have done this umpteen times, and wherever we go, in situations like this will be our closing, where we always recite this bandana. This Loma Srishi, he rendered this on bended knees to Lord Shankara. And he said, my Lord, if it is possible that my devotions arrive, and if it is possible, Lord, that I am a true devotee of yours, then please recognize this plea of mine on behalf of my godson. Remove all the difficulties that are in his pathway and take charge of him. So we are asking in the same words, if our dear brother, whatever has been, every is human, none of us is perfect. And Lord, you know where he has erred. You know everything. We are asking this evening collectively that you pardon him. You extend your kind and compassionate hand. Embrace him as indeed you embrace the Roman God. And keep him in your bosom. For this we ask in the most holy name. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Namami Shamisa Manama Broken, deep in the ye patanti naramanya yasham janu prasidhate Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Thanks Lord Mahapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Lord Shankara, we have come before you this evening collectively asking the Lord that you take charge of that soul which once occupied this earth, and you have given whatever time you have given him in this sojourn, Lord. You know all his activities. You know where he has erred, the Lord. But we pray, Lord, that you are most compassionate, you are most forgiving. Please embrace that soul that rises, Lord. Clear the pathway for him so that he will have an easy passage onto that platform for judgment. And may you shower him with your grace, Lord, so that if he has to come back into birth and death, O Lord, then may he find a place where your glories are always sung, where your name will never ever be a stranger to his lips. For this we ask in your most holy name. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So I pass you with this group to do a few numbers and before we bring the session to close.
Prince Bolesia RamaChandra ki Jai. Dear friends, we have been doing satsang on a monthly basis since the death of Shri Dipchan Kamal ji. And every time on that monthly occasion, I come to Satsang and I will point out to this family how special this day, this chosen day was or is. On one occasion, the satsang was held on the election day, the American election day. On one occasion, it was held on American Independence Day. On one occasion, it was held on America's Thanksgiving Day. Today's satsang, Bhai Dev came into this country 2 days ago. And I was only fortunate to see him this evening. Friends, the lesson he has chosen this evening is a lesson that Shri Dipchan Kamal ji has handwritten and given to me. The lesson that Bhai Dev has chosen this evening is a lesson or a topic that Shri Dipchan Kamal ji has written in his handwriting to me to deliver on occasion of satsang. How important is this, friends? And then to be reminded now that today is Vivek's birthday, tomorrow. And one thing, whenever the talk comes up, Kesho will always say, you see that guy, Vivek? That is Dipchan in print. Friends, when we go through the system and the theory, reincarnation, you know, we have to give a little thought to understand that birth and death is a cycle. It don't cease to exist. It continues. And with all indication, we can rightly say that Shri Dipchan Kamal ji is here with us in the living example of Vivek. So, on behalf of the members of the Gyaan Deepak Ramayan Group, we want to wish him a happy birthday. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, that no one can deny. For the time to be happy is now, and the place to be happy is here, and the way to be happy is today. All is happy and we have a little heaven down here. Everybody. The time to be happy is now, and the place to be happy is here, and the way to be happy is to make others happy and they have a little heaven someday. It's a happy, happy, happy day. It's a holy, holy, holy day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. It's a happy, happy, happy day. It's a holy, holy, holy day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Listen to the angels singing in the sky. Listen to the ocean waves dancing in God. Listen to the angels singing in the sky. Listen to the ocean waves dancing in God. Listen to the waves singing on the trees. It's a happy, happy, happy day. It's a holy, holy, holy day. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Everybody. Happy birthday to you. 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 प्रेम से बोले सियापति रामचंद्र की जय.
राम नाम जपे रे मन, राम नाम धाम, विनाशवत हरि नाम के दिग गयो जीवन। राम 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 भज राम भज रे राम राम सिया भज राम राम सिया भज राम राम सिया राम 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 भज राम भज रे राम राम सिया भज राम राम सिया भज राम राम सिया। धर्म ताज पृथ्वी पर आए, दशरथ की जय सूत्र निहारे। जनकपुरी के शिव जन चोरा, सती कन्हैया माता चोरा। किया किया बन राम प्रभु कहलाए सीताराम। भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। पिता वचन को पालन हारे, राजपाट के किनारे। विश्वामित्र यज्ञ रखवाला, सती अहिल्या तारन हारे। पंचवटी को बना दिया एक बार राज करा। भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। राम 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 भज राम भज राम राम सिया राम। भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। असुरों को संहार मान का सीना सहित करे लंका पर। अभिमानी रावण को मारा, सती अहिल्या नाथ नहारे। राम राज को गया देश में गण गाए हनुमान। भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। राम 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 भज राम भज राम राम सिया राम। भज राम राम सिया राम, भज राम राम सिया राम। भज राम भज राम भज राम भज राम। भज राम भज राम भज राम भज राम। राम देव राम करो, राम देव राम करो, राम देव राम करो। प्रिंसिपल सियापति रामचंद्र की जय। This point in time, we wish to close our session.
Before we do the closing prayer, I just want to express my gratitude to the members of the group for allowing me the privilege to be here and to use the instruments and what have you to conduct my satsang. My grateful thanks to all of them and for the human service that they have rendered since the passing of death. They came month after month. I just filled in this month. So I hope we will continue until the end to do this type of service for all the party partners. Thank you very much.
Brothers, as I've been saying throughout our session, that we, the members of the Gyaan Deepak Ramayan group, will pray and continue to pray and to humbly ask the Lord God Almighty to to God, guide and protect our dear brother. That to ensure that through our prayers, that his journey will be a journey of comfort. Let us all join and pray. Mantrahinam kriyahinam bhaktahinam janardam yat pujitam maya deva paripurnam karastume. Om asato ma sargamaya tamsama jyotirgamaya mrityurmamritam gamaya. Om asato ma sargamaya. Tvameva mata chapita tvameva tvameva bandhu chasakha tvameva tvameva vidya dharminam tvameva tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om shanti 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 hari om. Om namo परमात्माये नमः. बोले श्री रामचंद्र की जय. Once again, on behalf of the members of the Gyaan Deepak Ramayan Goal, we want to say thanks to you all for being a very, very receptive audience here this evening. And I hope in some way that we can combine our prayer that our dear brother will benefit tremendously. And I want to say to Bhai Dev, he is still a member of the Gyaan Deepak Ramayan Goal. Once again, Prem se bole Sri Ramachandra ki Jai Jai Sita Ram.